الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is a review about chapter 5. We give some review exercises and we solve them. In exercises 2 to 4, convert each angle in degrees to radians. So this angle is given in radians, in degrees, change it to radian. To change angles from degrees to radian, we multiply by pi radian over 180 degrees. And we use the calculator. If you divide 120 over 180, it is 2 over 3. So the answer is 2 pi over 3 radian. He said express your answer as a multiple of pi, so that's the answer. Convert each angle in radians to degrees. So this is now in radians. To change it to degrees, I multiply by 180 degrees over pi radian. Now pi cancels with pi. Okay, you can cancel pi with pi, and you will have negative. The answer would be negative 5 times 118 divided by 6. Okay, the answer is 150, so it is 150 degrees. Draw each angle in a standard position. The standard position, for the standard position, the vertex is at the origin, the initial side is at the positive x-axis, and the terminal side is here. You need to graph this angle. Now this is a negative angle, so we go in this direction. From here to here, this is negative pi, and we can write negative pi as negative 3 pi over 3. So negative 2 pi over 3 would be somewhere here. So this is the angle, negative 2 pi over 3 in standard position. 190 degrees. To graph this angle in a standard position, the vertex should be here, the initial side, and on the positive x-axis, I go in the positive direction. This is 180 degrees. So 190 is somehow greater than 180 degrees by 10 degrees. So this is the angle 190 degrees. Find a positive angle less than 360 or 2 pi that's coterminal with the given angle. All coterminal angles, the difference between any coterminal angle and the other one is 360 degrees. So I subtract 360 degrees, I get 40 degrees. Now 40 degrees is less than 360, so the answer is 40 degrees. So 40 is coterminal to 400, and at the same time, it is less than 360. What about negative 8 pi over 3? He is asking for positive, okay? So 40 is positive. This is a negative angle, so I will add 2 pi, but 2 pi, if the denominator is 3, then the numerator has to be 6 pi. So I add 6 pi over 3, which is 2 pi. The answer is negative 2 pi over 3. But negative 2 pi over 3 is not positive. And so I add another 6 pi over 3. Now the answer is 4 pi over 3. So 4 pi over 3 is coterminal with 4 pi over 3 is coterminal with negative 8 pi over 3, and it is positive, and it is less than 2 pi, so that's the required angle. Find the length of the arc the length of the arc is denoted by S. Okay, on a circle of radius 10, so that's R, 10 feet, intercepted by 135 degrees central angle. So this is theta. Express arc length in terms of y. What is the relation between SR and theta? S is R times theta, but theta has to be in radian. Okay, so S in this question would be R, which is 10, times theta. Theta is 135 degrees, but we have to change it to radian. So we multiply by radian over 180 degrees. So 135 over 18 would be 15 over 2. So the answer is 15 pi over 2 feet. This is express arc length in terms of pi. This is the arc length in terms of pi. Then round your answer to 2 decimal places. So if I ask the calculator to find 15 pi over 2, the answer would be 23.56. To 2 decimal places, the answer is 0.56. After 6, I have 1. So that's the answer. 23.56 feet when approximated to 2 decimal places. Use this triangle to find each of the 6 trigonometric functions. First, I need to find the hypotenuse. For the hypotenuse, if I call it R, okay, R is square root of 8 square plus 25, which is 5 square. So square root of 64 plus 25 is square root of 89, square root of 89, or 9.4. Let me say square root of 89. Now sine theta is 5 opposite over hypotenuse. You can rationalize the denominator and have the answer written like this. Also, the reciprocal of sine is cosecant, and it is square root of 89 over 5. Cosine theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. You can also multiply by square root of 89 over square root of 89 to write it like this. Okay, and secant theta is equal to the reciprocal of cosine. So it's 89 square root of 89 over 8. Well, tan theta is sine theta over the opposite over the adjacent, so it's 5 over 8, and cotan theta is 8 over 5. So these are the 6 trigonometric functions. Now, if theta is an acute angle and sine theta is like this, use this identity to find cosine theta. Okay, so sine squared theta would be 2 square root of 7 squared over 7 squared, which is 49, plus cosine squared equals 1. So cosine squared theta is 1 minus. If you square this, you get 28 over 49. If you subtract 1 minus 28 over 49, you get 3 over 7. So cosine theta is square root of 3 over 7. Now, it could be plus or minus. If theta is an acute angle, so cosine would be positive, and that's the answer. Find a cofunction with the same value as this. The cofunction of sine is cosine, so this is cosine 90 minus 70, or just cosine 20. Find the measure of the side of the right triangle whose length is designated by a lowercase letter a. Okay, so find the length of a. What do we have? We have the hypotenuse, and we have the opposite of this angle. Opposite over hypotenuse, that's sine. So sine 48 is opposite over hypotenuse. So A is 50 times sine 48. So if you multiply 50, you have to be in the degree mode. Make sure that you are in the degree mode. 50 times sine 48, the answer is 37. Round to the nearest whole number, so it's 37 inch. So A is 37 inch. Find the distance across the lake. So let us say this distance. Okay, what do we have? This is the opposite, and this is the adjacent to this angle. So tan 32, tan the angle 32 is d over 50. So d would be 50 times tan 32, and you can find it also using the calculator. So the answer is 31 point something to the nearest meter. So the answer is 31 meter. Okay. A point on the terminal side of angle theta is given. Find the exact value of each of the 6 trigonometric functions. This is x and this is y. Let us find r. R is a square root of x squared plus y squared, so it is 1. So cosine theta would be x over r, it would be 0. Sine theta would be y over r, so it would be -1. So cosine theta is 0, so secant theta is not defined because it would be 1 over 0. While cosecant theta is the reciprocal of sine, so it is -1. Tan theta would be sine over cosine, so it's -1 over 0, so it's not also defined. While cotan theta is cosine or x over y, and that's 0. Name the quadrant. Tan theta is positive. Tan theta is positive here and here. Cosine theta is negative here and here. So it is in quadrant 3. Find the exact value of each of the remaining trigonometric functions. Tan is negative. Tan is negative means the angle is here or here. Sine is positive, so the angle is here or here. Sine is positive here and here. So it is in quadrant 2. If it is in quadrant 2, then x is negative and y is positive. What is tan? Tan is -1 over 3, which is x over, sorry, tan is y over x. Tan is y over x. Y is positive, so I take it 1. X is negative, so I take it -3. So x is -3 and y is 1. Let us find r. Square root of 9 plus 1, square root of 10. So I can find cotan theta, the reciprocal of tan, so that's -3. I can find sine theta, y over r, okay? Or you rationalize the denominator, so it would be square root of 10 over 10. Cosecant theta is the reciprocal of sine theta, so it's square root of 10. Cosine theta, x over r, so it's -3 over square root of 10, or if you rationalize the denominator, it would be like this. And secant theta is the reciprocal of cosine, so it's square root of 10 over negative 3. Find the reference angle for these angles. To find the reference angle, I have to graph this angle in a standard position. This is a negative angle, so I go in this direction. This is negative 180. This is greater than negative 360. So I can add 360 degrees and negative 4110 plus 360 is negative 50. So negative 50 and negative 410 are coterminal to each other. This is negative 90. So negative 50 is somewhere here. This is the angle negative 50. So the reference angle of the angle negative 50 is 50. Okay. So theta prime is 50. That's the reference angle of negative 410. For this angle, also it's greater than 6 over 3, so it's greater than 2 pi. So I will add another 2 pi, which is 6 pi over 3. To get a coterminal angle, I get negative 5 pi over 3. Now let me sketch the graph of negative 5 pi over 3. You go in the negative direction. This is negative 6 pi over 3. So this would be negative 5 pi over 3. Where is the reference angle? This is the reference angle. So the reference angle is pi over 3. So theta prime is pi over 3. Find the exact value of each expression. Do not use the calculator. To find the exact value of cosine 11 pi over 6, I need to find the reference angle of 11 pi over 6. Okay, 11 pi over 6 is not greater than 12 pi over 6. This is 12 pi over 6 if you start from 0, and this is 6 pi over 6. So 11 pi over 6 is somewhere here. This is 11 pi over 6. The reference angle is pi over 6. Okay, so cosine 11 pi over 6 is equal to plus or minus cosine pi over 6. Now 11 pi over 6 is in quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, cosine is positive, so this is exactly like this. And you can find cosine pi over 6 by the calculator or by this triangle. This is pi over 6, so it is square root of 3 over 2. Cosecant negative 2 pi over 3, I have to sketch the graph of negative 2 pi over 3 in the negative direction. This is negative 3 pi over 3, and this is negative 2 pi over 3. So this angle is in the third quadrant, and pi over theta prime, the reference angle, is pi over 3. So cosecant negative 2 pi over 3 is equal to cosecant pi over 3, plus or minus. So is it plus or minus? This is according to the quadrant. We are in quadrant 3. In quadrant 3, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. It is negative. So the answer is negative. And cosecant pi over 3, this is pi over 3. Sine pi over 3 is square root of 3 over 2. So cosecant would be 2 over square root of 3, or 2 square root of 3 over negative 3 if you rationalize the denominator. 495, you can subtract 360 because it's greater than 360. So 495 minus 360 would be 135. So I can say that this is equal to sine 135, and I work with 135. If you sketch the graph of 135 in positive direction, then the reference angle is 45. So this sine equals plus or minus sine 45. We are in the second quadrant. In the second quadrant, sine is positive, so sine 135 is equal to sine 45, equals to 1 over square root of 2, or square root of 2 over 2. Negative 35 pi over 6. You can add 12 pi over 6, or 24 pi over 6, or 36 pi over 6 if you like. You can add a multiple of 12 over 6. So if you add 36 pi over 6, you get pi over 6. So cosine negative 30 pi over 6 is equal to cosine pi over 6. And actually pi over 6 is the reference angle. Okay, so if you graph negative 35 pi over 6, it would be here. This would be the graph of negative 30 by 50, 35 pi over 6. So in this case, this is equal to this, and cosine pi over 6 is a square root of 3 over 2, as we can find from this triangle. Determine the amplitude, the period, and phase shift of this function, then graph one period of this function. Well, the amplitude is 3 over 2. The period is 2 pi over 2, so it's pi. I need the period over 4 in this graph, so it's pi over 4. And to find the phase shift, I put 2x plus pi over 4 equals 0. So 2x is negative pi over 4, and x is negative pi over 4 over 2, so it would be negative pi over 8. Okay, please use the calculator to find negative pi over 4 over 2. So this is the beginning. I will start from here, and the phase shift is pi over 3 units to the left. All right, now let me find the table. This is the x, and this is the y. All right, I start by negative pi over 8. That's the beginning. And then I add pi over 4. If you add negative 1 over 8 plus 1 over 4, you get pi over 8. So this is pi over 8. Add another pi over 4 plus pi over 4, you get 3 pi over 8. Add another pi over 4, you get 5 pi over 8. Add another pi over 4, you get 7 pi over 8. 7 pi over 8. Now this is the graph of sine, and this is the graph of cosine. So how can we find the values of the y? You can use the calculator. Please use the calculator here to find the values of y, or you can just say that this is cosine and it is positive, so you know that there are two x-intercepts, one here, and two maximum, and the maximum is 3 over 2 in the beginning of the period and at the end, and in the middle we have minimum. This is the graph of cosine, okay? Or please use the calculator at least once. Check, for example, replace x by 3 pi over 8 and check that the answer is negative 3 over 2. I say 1.5. Make sure that you are in the radian mode. So 1.5 or 3 over 2 times cosine 2 times 3 pi over 8. So it would be 3 pi over 4. So 3 pi over 4 plus pi over 4. And the answer is negative 3 over 2. So I checked my answer, and my answer is correct. Now I'm going to graph from negative pi over 8 to 7 pi over 8. So the graph would be like this. If this is negative pi over 8, then I have here pi over 8, and I have here 3 pi over 8, and I have here 5 pi over 8, and this is 7 pi over 8. I have in the middle, in the beginning, 1.5. So if this is 1, this is 1.5, okay? And I have also at the end maximum. Here I have intercept, here I have intercept, here I have minimum, and I just connect these points, and I get the usual graph of cosine that we know. Okay, what about sine? What is the amplitude? Amplitude is absolute value of -3, and it is 3. What is the period? The period is 2 pi over the coefficient of x, which is pi over 3. Okay, so it would be 2 pi times 3 over pi. Pi cancels with pi, and the period is 6. Good. So period over 4 would be 6 over 4 or 3 over 2. All right. What is the phase shift? Pi over 3x minus 3 pi, put it equals to 0. Okay. Now, it would take 3 pi to the other side and then divide by pi over 3. So again, multiply by 3 over pi. Pi cancels with pi and you get 9. So that's the phase shift. Phase shift is 9 units right. Good. So to find the table, I will start from 9. 9 units to the right. Then I add 3 over 2, which is 1.5. So I reach 10.5. Plus 1.5, 12. Plus 1.5, 13.5. Plus 1.5, 15. So these are the 5 key x coordinates. And now the y, I can use the calculator, or this is sine. The graph of sine, 0, 0, 0. It's a negative sign. So in the second point, I have a minimum now instead of maximum, and I have a maximum here. Now, let me check with 13.5. So I use the calculator. I write -3 sine pi over 3 times what? 13.5 minus 3 pi. The answer is 3, so everything is fine, and I'm confident that my answer is true. Now, I can go by 1.5 because 1.5 is the unit of measure here. So if you want, you can start. This is 1.5, this is 3, this is 4.5, this is 6, this is 7.5, and this is 9. And if from here I start, this is 10.5, this is 12, this is 13.5, and this is 15. And I will graph from here to here, and I know I have 3x intercepts. And now at 10.5, I have minimum at -3, and I have maximum at 13.5, and I can connect the points to sketch the graph of negative sine x, or -3 sine. So this is the graph of this function. Find the exact value of each expression. Here we let y equals sine inverse square root of 2 over 2 to use the definition. So sine y would be square root of 2 over 2. or it is 1 over square root of 2. Now y is in the domain of sine, so y is between negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So from here to here, from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So either the angle y is in the first quadrant or in the fourth quadrant, but sine is positive, so y would be here. So this is the angle y, and now I can sketch the triangle of y. What do I know? This is sine, and sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the opposite is 1, and the hypotenuse is 2. I can use Pythagorean theorem to find this number, or I know that this should be 1. 1 square root of 2. I know this triangle. So what do we need to find? We need cosine this. Cosine this equals to cosine y, and cosine y is also 1 over square root of 2, or square root of 2 over 2. What about this one? Let y equals tan inverse square root of 3 over 3. This is f and f. Tan y is square root of 3 over 3, or 1 over square root of 3. Again, y is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, because this is the domain of tan. And is it in the first quadrant or the fourth quadrant? Tan is positive, so y would be here in the first quadrant, and tan is opposite over adjacent. So the opposite is 1, the adjacent is square root of 3, and I can find this using Pythagorean theorem, or I know that it is 2, because this is a famous triangle of 30, 60, 90. So cosecant tan inverse would be equal to cosecant y, and cosecant y is the opposite of sine. Sine is 1 over 2, so the cosecant would be 2, and that's the answer. You can check your answer by the calculator. Okay, you can write here, for example, cosecant is 1 over, so you can write it 1 over sine, and then you write tan inverse, and then you put 1 over square root of 3, or square root of 3 over 3, and you ask for the answer. The answer would be should be equal to 2, which is correct. Use the right triangle to write each expression as an algebraic expression. Same steps. We let y equals sine inverse 1 over x. This is f and f. Sine y equals to 1 over x. Now he said x is positive in the question, so y is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, and since x is positive, so y is in the first quadrant. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so the opposite is 1, and the hypotenuse is x. Now, how to find the adjacent? Using Pythagorean theorem, it's the square root of hypotenuse square minus opposite square. So it's square root of x square minus 1. So how to find secant? Well, secant sine inverse is secant y now, and secant y is the opposite of cosine. Cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, so secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. So that's the answer. This is the end of chapter 5 review. I hope that you study again and again, and have a nice day. Thank you.